everyone. I hope everything is going on well, right? Okay. So that in my previous sessions, we were actually learning mathematics, right? But today I'm going to start with a new subject that is science. And in science, I'm going to deal with a new chapter that's petroleum and natural gas. So shall we begin with this class? It's going to be really very interesting. Let's see how can we make it more interesting. So let's proceed. Petroleum and natural gas. Before beginning with this session, I would like to ask a very simple question. What are petroleum and natural gas? We together call them a term. What's a term given to them? Yes, it's fossil fuel. They are known as the fossil fuels. Now, what are fossil fuels? What are fossil fuels? They are the remains of dead plants, dead plants and animals which have been converted into fuels, have got converted into fuels, right? So petroleum, whenever we hear the word petroleum, we remember the petrol which is used in our cars, right? The petrol which is used in our cars, and whenever natural gas, the LPG gas which we use it in our homes, right, for cooking purpose. So we have seen its uses. Next thing, the first topic we are going to cover is the formation of petroleum. How is petroleum formed? If you are aware of what is petroleum, then you must also be aware of how it is formed. So let's see how it is. Petroleum and natural gas are fossil fuels which are made up of hydrocarbons. Now, what are hydrocarbons? They are the compounds of hydrogen plus carbon. So when hydrogen plus carbon, they form the hydrocarbons as the name suggests. Okay. So they are found under fossil fuels, as I explained of the term in the previous session, in the previous slide. They are found under the Earth's crust between the layers of rocks. That means, if assume these two layers of rocks, between them somewhere there will be just a compressed form. They are formed like petroleum and natural gas. Okay. We are only going to discuss about the petroleum in the first part. Second part will be of our natural gas. Okay. So now, how has the word petroleum derived? It has derived from two words, petra meaning rock and oleum meaning oil. That's why it is also known as rock oil, because it is derived from petroleum, rock oil. But why do they call them rock oil? Because you see, they are found between the rocks. They are formed by the rocks also play a major role in forming petroleum, right? That's why. Next, it is formed by the remains of dead marine plants and animals. That is nothing but the fossils. They are known as the fossils. It is a continuous process and takes millions of years to form. It's a very slow process. Okay, it takes millions and millions of years to form. What are our next slides? Our next slide says that crude oil and natural gas. So here's an image of how they are formed. Let me explain it. First, when the dead marine plants and animals die, their bodies settle right on top of the seabed. Okay, at first they'll float, then due to buoyancy, and then gradually they'll settle down. As soon as they settle, the layers of sand, the tiny sea plants, animals died and were buried on the ocean floor. Over time, they were covered with layers of sediment and rock. That means there were many layers of sediments and rocks which covered them gradually, right? So as a result, it got compressed into more thin layers. Over millions of years, the remains were buried deeper and deeper. Okay, they started to seep. Okay, the enormous heat and pressure turned them into oil and gas. That means enormous heat and pressure exerted by Earth. Earth also has its own heat and pressure exerted by the Earth, converted them into oil and gas. Today, we drill down through the layers of sedimentary rocks to reach the rock formations that contain oil and gas deposits. So, there's those areas that oil and gas deposits, they are found in our, where are they found? Oil and gas deposits are found in the oil reservoir. They have a particular term, oil reservoirs. And we dig some wells to extract them from the ground, right? Those wells are known as oil wells. Understood? So that's how the organisms gradually turns. We can see that it is formed from the remains of the plants and animals. Let's look at the steps in the formation and extraction of petroleum. Again, it's just that was a pictorial representation. Here's the stepwise process. First, petroleum was formed from organisms living in the sea. As these organisms died, their bodies settled at the bottom of the sea. Okay, as I told you, gradually started to settle at the seabed. Okay, then they got covered with layers of sand, clay, silt, and mud. So when there were many deposits or layers, multiple layers of these, anything when you're going to give it more pressure, anything, it will change its form. Dough also you might be seeing when it's given more pressure, then it turns flat. See, when their bodies are given more pressure and sand, clay, silt, and mud, they also became very thin. Okay, it became very thin. Then, what happened after they grew thin? Over millions of years, absence of air, high temperature, and high pressure, and the compression transformed the dead organisms into petroleum. Yes. So, what and all did they receive? High temperature and pressure by the earth. Yes, so around when they reached 10,000 feet or somewhat, they got gradually converted into petroleum. Okay, next slide. The petroleum formed is mostly trapped between the layers of impervious rocks. So it is trapped between a few rocks. Those are known as the impervious rocks. And these underground reservoirs are called oil reservoirs. So where oil is reserved, we say, right? So those places are known as oil reservoirs, and the petroleum from these reservoirs is brought to the surface of the earth by boring wells known as oil wells. So as I told you, where they have been stored oil which is formed, that is the oil reservoir, and we extract them from the surface of the earth by boring into the earth, by digging wells, we say, and those wells are known as the oil wells. Okay, oil wells. Next, the extracted liquid is usually black, thick, and foul smelling and is known as the crude oil, which is then refined to obtain useful products. So, crude oil, at first, the thing which we obtain is the crude oil. We cannot, it is a liquid actually. Yeah, as I told you, they have been converted to petroleum, and that petroleum at first it is known as the crude oil. Okay, because it is black, thick, and foul smelling. Foul smelling, it just gives a very mm, stinking smell. Okay, stench, great, furious stench, unpleasant smell. So that at that time it is known as the crude oil and it cannot be used in a natural form. It has no use in its natural form as a crude oil. That's why we then refine it to obtain useful products. Now, refining of petroleum will be our next topic, which will be discussed. And for now, you remember that it's refined into obtain useful products. And those useful products are like petrol, diesel, kerosene, lubricating oil. Now, here's a brain teaser. Let's see if you all are aware of this answer. Can petroleum and natural gas be prepared in the laboratory from dead organisms? it's time to have fun, right? So we must solve a question also. Okay, wait here. Can petroleum and natural gas be prepared in laboratory from dead organisms? Is it possible to prepare petroleum and natural gas in laboratory from dead organisms? No, their formation is a very slow process and conditions for their formation cannot be created in the library. That means we cannot prepare them. Why? Because you know the conditions they need. They need high pressure of the earth. Then from where we'll be able to bring such huge bodies of animals? How will we be able to keep them? Then it's a very slow process. Okay, what even if we do the laboratory, it is not at all possible because those conditions which are required, the natural human conditions are required, right? Those we won't be able to provide them. Okay, and if they will get formed in the laboratory and all, what will be the value, right? Their value, it is not possible to prepare them. It's a very slow and huge process. It takes millions of years to, right? Okay, so thank you everyone. If you have any doubts, kindly please it in the comments box below. For today, we had covered our first part of structure, that is the formation of petroleum. Thank you.